my memory for October 3rd, which is day 89. This memory is Night of the Ninja. Uh, Back when we were kids, um, we used to play a lot of Capture the Alamo type games. Um, yeah, if you're not familiar with Capture the Alamo, it's like a Capture the Flag, but rather than you trying to get to your opponent's base and capture their flag, there's each team takes turns. One team hides, the other team seeks. Uh, the team that's hunting tries to find the people that are hiding, and if you see them, you chase them down. There's a chase. They run, ensued. You grab a hold of them. You put a hand on them, and say 1, 2, 3, capture the Alamo. And then once you do that, then that person has to go to the prison, which is a designated area where everybody who gets 1, 2, 3 capture the Alamo goes there. And then usually you put up a guard or two around the prison, because then the other team, if they run to the prison and get by you and tag anybody who's in the prison, then they get to escape and run off into the night. And you just play that way until either everybody's captured or the hunting team gives up and goes, fuck it, we're never going to catch all of them. And we played that a lot in the summertime, just large groups. I mean, we would have, we would have 12, 14, 15 people on a team. So 25, 30 of us playing at a time. And we would set up boundaries as to, hey, you can't go inside anybody's house. You can't go past this street or across the river, that sort of thing. I was a lot better at the game than you would expect. Um, Even though being in a wheelchair. And one night there was three of us. It was me, Frank, and Tommy Slosser. The three of us challenged the rest of the neighborhood to find us. Um, Everyone was like, "What are you talking about?" And we had put forth a challenge that me and Frank and Tommy would hide somewhere within Cambridge City. We would not go indoors. We would not be above the ground, and we would not be below the ground. And yes, that was a stipulation that was needed. There had been over the course of the years of hiding, there had been people who had hidden underneath a sewer drain, underneath a manhole cover, people who had hidden up in trees, that sort of thing. We climbed up on top of buildings. So it all had to be outdoors and all that. There were maybe 20, 25 other kids, teenagers, who had agreed to this and they were going to hunt us. They knew they had 3 hours. We were like, hey, down here in Cambria City, we will not be going across the river on the one side. We will not be going across Route 56 403 Broad Street on the other side. We will not go past 2nd Avenue, and we will not go past 10th Avenue. We will be somewhere in that uh, rectangle. And they showed up at the agreed upon start location, which was what was always referred to as the steps, and it was an old high school where we played. We played hours upon hours of kickball and wiffle ball and games like that, and hanging out on the steps. A large set of steps, and everyone would hang out there and just talk. All the kids, and we had agreed that would be our home base. That was where we would start the night. That was where the game would start there. And at the end of the night, if we had not been captured, we would all meet back up there at the steps. And then 3 hours, they showed up there at the start location, and they found an envelope on the steps that had told them that we were already hiding, that we were already in our spot. and that, you know, uh, they were allowed to use transportation. So they could ride bikes, they could ride skateboards, they could do whatever they wanted to try to travel around. And for the next 3 hours, the entire neighborhood was scoured by these individuals on bikes and skateboards and on foot. And at one point, a group of them had got so close to where the three of us were hiding that we could have reached out and touched them. Uh, easily. Like they were easily within arm's length of where we were. And at the end of those 3 hours, all the hunters would converge from different directions. They came from all sides, back on the steps, to already find me, Frank, and Tommy sitting there. That was just, I gotta say, almost pure luck. I don't know how we made it from our hiding spot to the steps with none of them seeing us, but we did, and we got there, and they came up, and there it was immediate. They were like, "Where? No, no! How did you guys get here? And where were you?" And it had been a stipulation that if we were successful, we would show them the hiding spot. And the hiding spot was actually there's a whole bunch of churches around the area, and all the churches would have different uh, gardens that you could walk through and go by and things like that. And the one church had this very optical illusion based passageway that went from the alley to the other side of the church with the garden. And if you were in the garden, when you were looking at it, it looked like it was just a solid wall. You did not realize that, oh no, there's an opening there that leads to Broad Street. It leads out to the other boundary. But if you weren't aware of it and just looking, it's really a fascinating. I don't know if I'm sure it wasn't designed that way intentionally, but yeah, it was a total optical illusion where if you were just in the garden and just looking around, it looked like it was a solid wall, but it was not. And so we said that we were right there, and when we revealed it, the one person that was like so close in the group, one of the people in the group that was so close to us, was like, "Oh my god, I was right there! I had no idea that was even an opening." And we're like, "Yep, yep." So we successfully just baffled everyone. No one knew how a kid in a wheelchair. Frank was a tall kid. Frank was uh, he was a goaltender in uh, for Johnstown High, so he was a bigger kid, and Tommy was a little tight, but the three of us all had to hide together, and no one thought it was possible. I'll never forget that night. And so there you go.